I can't say I'm not disappointed that you haven't grown a large handlebar mustache.
I was thinking I should come back with a huge beard, because that is usually what talk show hosts do after they retire. A handlebar mustache would have been something impressive. But, I tried the mustache for a month early on in the pandemic. I did not like it. Instead, I shaved, as I do once a week.
Once a week?
Yeah.
I would say that's probably about when I do it.
I think the key to our youthful looks at our advanced stages is the fact that we're not heavy shavers, and yet we're not beard growers either.
Not heavy shavers and not using aftershave that has alcohol in it.
I don't use aftershave at all.
Well, that's not good either.
No.
Yeah, you gotta take care of those pores.
Yeah. Miss me? This is what you've been missing.
I've got a bunch of movies that I've never seen before. You don't know what they are. Every episode, I'm going to spring one on you. It might be good. It might be bad. We'll watch it and talk about it. Welcome to the basement. Welcome back to the basement, Craig. Thank you for joining me in this little reunion.
So this is the basement.
This is the basement.
I've been watching this on the computer.
I chose tonight's movie because I thought you would enjoy it, but I also thought it might inspire you in those times when life has got you down. And when it's important to remember, there's no use sitting alone in the room. Come hear the music play. Because, old chum, life is a cabaret.
I have been waiting for this for 10 years. And I'm like, he's not going to do it. I'm quitting the show. And now look at this.
Released in 1972, Cabaret stars Liza Minnelli, Joel Grey, and Basement Hall of Famer Michael York. And was based on the Christopher Isherwood novel Goodbye to Berlin.
And made into a movie called I Am a Camera.
Yes.
And then it became this, after the play.
It was directed by Basement alum Bob Fosse. Unlike his previous flop, 1969's Sweet Charity, Cabaret took in more than $40 million at the box office. It also won 8 Oscars, the most ever wins for a picture that did not also win Best Picture. That honor went to The Godfather. Godfather only won 3 Oscars that year.
They didn't know it was The Godfather quite yet.
In 1995, it was selected by the Library of Congress for preservation in the United States National Film Registry as being deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant.
This is also part of Fosse's Annus Mirabilis, the year that he got the Emmy, the Tony, and the Oscar, all in the same year.
Tonight's movie, I'm Vincent Price. Tonight's movie is a musical, and I thought your gift should have something to do with musicals and also maybe provide you with a little bit of amusement in your downtime. So I've gotten you the Hamilton coloring book.
Oh, perfect. I'm going to draw Peggy Schuyler, like I've always wanted to. This is great for racists who love Broadway musicals. George Washington. Well, I'm just going to keep this color. I'm just going to go around his face.
Well, join us on the old leather couch where we will bid you a hearty willkommen as we watch Cabaret.
It's 1931 Berlin.
Yeah. And down at the Kit Kat Club, the master of ceremonies bids you...
Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome.
I still feel like I'm about to be murdered. He's not convincing me.
Every night we have the battle to keep the girls from taking off all their clothing.
Proceed.
Tonight we may lose the battle.
Germany doesn't start losing battles until, 1943, I guess.
This is the best show in town because it stars...
Volleyballs!
All the music I've heard in this so far conjures images of gnomes just kind of walking.
Farewell, my liebe.
Bob Fosse choreography, perfect for the lazy dancer.
Bye. Bye.
Late.
Brian Roberts has just arrived in Germany from Cambridge.
Oh my, look at this.
He's here to teach English to the locals and make a little extra money.
No.
He's in the movie a lot, man. Either get it out or you really have to stick
I'm
with
getting
this
it
joke.
out. I'm getting it out.
Ja?
Guten Tag, Fräulein.
I like a chain on a door that's big enough so that only the heavy-set thugs can't get it.
He happens to rent a room right across the hall from Sally Bowles herself.
and they become great pals. Goes down at the kick, clack, click, 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 click.
Back at the Kit Kat, there's these guys who've been showing up around town. They're in this party called the Nazi Party. And they're not always very popular with people. This bouncer takes this Nazi and throws him right out of the club. Sally and Brian get to know each other.
I am a most strange and extraordinary person.
Oh, I just love those Nazi flags. I hope they won't someday become controversial.
Well, when I left Cambridge...
I'm going to be a great film star.
But I was talking about Cambridge.
Have you ever slept with a dwarf?
Yep, he started out grumpy and ended up happy.
And she loves to go underneath a train bridge and just listen to the whistles and scream. Traingasm.
You should try it sometime.
I couldn't possibly.
I'm British. We only spot trains.
That bouncer who kicked out the Nazi, well, turns out the Nazi had some friends, and the bouncer is cornered, and this happens to him. Bouncer meet Trouncer.
Sally is getting sassy with Brian, and she kisses him. He doesn't seem into it.
Doesn't my body drive you wild with desire?
I'm more of Oscar Wilde with desire.
I've gone through the motions of sleeping with girls exactly 3 times. All of them disastrous.
They all exploded. I don't know what happened. It was really weird. After the 3rd time, I said, I'm not doing this anymore.
Hey, it'll only ruin our friendship if we sleep together. So there we go.
Gnomes creeping around the baseboards.
Brian meets Fritz, who needs work on his English.
I go as a gigolo.
And everywhere I go, people know the parts I'm playing.
Brian gets a new student. Her name is Natalia Landauer, and she's rich.
And Fritz gets some ideas. I will romance Miss Landauer, and I'll get some of that money. Sally and Fritz hang around, and they make things awkward.
I saw a film the other day about syphilis. Oh, it was too awful.
Coffee?
Is it true you can get it from kissing?
Oh, yes.
And from towels, and from cups.
And of course, screwing.
And in general, from me, Sally Bowles.
That old heel-clicking, hand-kissing routine of his isn't going to get him anywhere with her.
But it will get him syphilis. There's no use biking alone in the park. Bike with a friend today. Sally's going to visit her father across town.
And the guide doesn't show. Brian, being a good friend, cheers her up. I must warn you, you may explode.
And they go to bed together.
Those 3 girls were just the wrong 3 girls.
Doesn't my body drive you wild with desire?
Yes, it does. He was asking me, right? He wasn't asking you.
Well, he's
he was
Michael
asking
York.
me.
Come on. Don't you just love reading?
Hey, what's going on?
I just told him that I had the teeniest touch of syphilis. Wait till he gets a load of what little old Elkie's got.
She's got the donkey clap. Frau Landauer, Natalia, confides in Sally. She knows that Fritz is just after her for her money, but she thinks she's falling for him anyway. Sally meets Maximilian. He's a rich German man.
He starts putting the flirt on with Sally, starts buying her stuff.
And she and Max and Brian all become buddies.
Speaking of money.
Money makes the world go around, the world go around, the world go around.
Money makes the gnomes all march around.
Money, 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 money.
Said the monkey to the chimp.
Money, money, money. Yep.
I'm the human saw. That's what they call
It's
me.
taken 12 years for me to find this out. This talent. Maximilian is hanging around. He's throwing his money around. Sally's all too happy to take it.
I got perfume. I got silk stockings.
And you got that funny little blue hand.
You got a brand new strain of syphilis. There's another number at the Kit Kat.
2 ladies,
A little song about a man who has 2 ladies.
but I'm the only man, yeah.
Diddly dee dee. Indeed.
I like it. They like it.
I also approve.
2 ladies.
I say that man with the 2 ladies has interesting ideas. Max takes Sally and Brian off to the country to his family's fancy estate.
Mr. Roberts in the blue room.
Da da dee da da dee da 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 dee da da dee da da da.
All three of them outdo themselves drinking one night, and they have this dance together.
Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee.
Two penis, two penis. Looks like it's about to get serious, and Brian passes out.
Everyone's at a beer garden. Is that all we get of old men chewing? Can't we get a little more?
Boy, will they or when will they?
But then this young fellow decides to get up and sing a song.
The stag in the forest runs free.
It's kind of a nice song, but he's not a very nice fellow because of that armband he's wearing. Oh, you little Nazi. I know you're going to be a Nazi. I knew it! I knew it! You white supremacist songbird, you. All the Nazis get up and they start singing along, and Brian and Sally get out of there. Because being around Nazis is a drag, man. Yeah, I said it.
Natalia,
The movie's forgotten our subplot.
marry me.
Let me take your hand in matrimony. Matrimony.
I can't.
He's not Jewish.
Sally and Brian are talking about Max.
Aren't you ever going to stop deluding yourself? Behaving like some ludicrous little underage femme fatale. You're about as fatale as an after-dinner mint.
I've seen some Monty Python movies. After dinner mints can be quite fatale.
Oh, screw Maximilian.
I do.
Aha.
So do I.
Ah.
Sally's upset.
You two bastards!
Diddly-dee-dee-dee.
Two bastards.
And Brian's upset. He storms off.
Bitte, bitteschön. Ja, yes, you read. Read das pamphlet? Nein? Nein?
Scheiße!
He gets in a tussle with some of those Nazis and gets all beaten up. Meanwhile,
God damn it, I'm gonna have a baby!
is it Brian's? Is it Max's? She doesn't know, but Brian proposes marriage to her anyway. They can move to England and raise that baby right. Get away from all this cabaret business.
There exists a well-organized international conspiracy of Jewish bankers.
There exists another well-organized group of which you're obviously a member. The International Conspiracy of Horses' Arses.
And with that, they stop the war.
Back at the Kit Kat Club, she's a good dancer, but if you make any sudden movements, she will rip your face off. Fritz still wants to marry Natalia, and it turns out that he's also a Jew. He's just been hiding his Jewishness because he lives in Germany. He confesses to her, and they get married. Larry. Oh. Unbeknownst to Brian, Sally goes off and has an abortion. She just can't imagine herself as a mother or a faithful wife, and she really wants to be a famous actress. Turns out Brian would get in the way too, so they part ways. Brian takes the train back to England.
There's not a lot of time left in this thing. When are they going to sing the cabaret song?
Sally gets back on stage at the Kit Kat Club.
Hold on to your butt, Matt. She's gonna sing a song you want to hear.
My butt is held. And sings a little song that this movie was named after.
I used to have this girlfriend known as Elsie,
Elsie?
with whom I shared 4 sordid rooms in Chelsea.
Chelsea.
She wasn't what you'd call a blushing flower.
Not Elsie.
As a matter of fact, she rented by the hour.
And that is the conclusion of the movie Cabaret.
Goodbye.
Life is, in fact, a cabaret.
Why is life a cabaret in this particular world that they're living in?
Well, I think Sally's life is a cabaret.
Yes.
It's very glitzy and very shiny, but there's not much substance to it.
And I think that this movie is all about people goofing off during the end of the world. We're going to try as hard as we can not to listen to the radio, Even though every single time the radio's on, you hear the word Nazi.
And while the cabaret is happening, life is great. But then the cabaret eventually is over, and then you got nothing. You live in squalor. You don't have love. You don't have fulfillment. You don't even have the career that you want. You're just spinning your wheels.
Life takes over the cabaret. Everyone in the audience at the end, that's life now.
Did Liza Minnelli bring that hairstyle to the movie, or did she take that hairstyle from the movie? Because she rocked that for the rest of her life, up until Arrested Development. Christopher Isherwood wrote the novel, The Space Time. He thought that Liza Minnelli was too talented to play the role. Because Sally Bowles is supposed to be this prematurely washed up person who's never going to have a career in the movies.
Yeah, well, many people have played Sally Bowles. But Liza is this performance. Just like Brando is
Stanley
Kowalski and Jose Ferrer is Cyrano de Bergerac. So you just have to put that aside. You just have to be like, well, no one's going to find any talent in the Kit Kat Club. You're not going to send an agent down there. Nothing. It's just a creepy Dean Stockwell-esque MC and women who are either far too heavy or far too thin to make it in the movies.
We probably should talk about the Master of Ceremonies.
Yes.
Joel Grey. I was slightly disappointed that he wasn't more of a character in the story, but I can understand it. I get it.
He has not one audible line of dialogue in the entire movie. Whenever he looks, you think he's looking at Sally. No, he's looking at us. He's just talking to us. He beat out the whole Corleone family for Oscars that year. How could anyone beat Al Pacino? How could anyone beat James Caan? This is Joker level, no one's going to beat him performance.
He was very sinister. What do you think was the purpose of that?
This is a world of decadence. Decadence is about decay. It's the same root word there. And so he is this plague. All of these women, all of the audience, they're all rotting. And I am the plague master.
In a way, he's human syphilis.
Yes. Yes, he is. This is, of course, decades before the term manic pixie dream girl was invented.
I don't love that term.
She starts out looking like one, and you quickly realize, oh, no, this girl's just trouble. This is the girl who calls you at 3 o'clock in the morning because she needs a drive to the pharmacy. And it's exciting for a while, and Brian does very well with it, because Brian is a pervert. You can tell whenever she does anything, and he's like, I'm not going to react to her at all. That's what she doesn't want, which means that's what she wants. No one should walk away from this movie thinking, I want to be Sally. And in the end, Sally doesn't want to be Sally. Sally finally says, we're not made for each other.
I'm just a stop on your journey of life. I'm not your end point.
So many things I do love that Fosse does with this. From the choreography of when the women are slapping the floor during Mein Herr. Who would ever think of that? The fact that he wins Best Director over Coppola. Fosse was just so innovative as a director. This isn't as good of a movie as Godfather, but it might be better directing.
It's more of a singular movie. It's more specific. Where The Godfather, this is a movie for the generations.
Yeah.
People will love this movie for 1,000 years.
Yes. This is one of the best examples I can think of the difference between Best Director and Best Picture. And if you think Coppola deserves to win this year, you're right too. Michael York does a great job in this movie, I think, because of how still he is.
Yep.
You think of him as big as Tybalt or the dopey guy running in Logan's Run or whatever. No Logan's Run jokes. We didn't do any Logan's Run.
I did.
Jokes. You did?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's a divine playboy, hurtling from party to party, seducing everyone in all directions.
And he's not yet 30, which means that he will remain alive for the time being.
The showstopper number. Not Cabaret. Not Mein Herr. Not sung by Liza or Joel. Sung by that kid in the garden. It's terrifying. It's the scariest song ever in a movie.
Well, the curtain has come down on Cabaret. Now it's time for us to tap our way on over to a little after-hours place called Seen It.
Seen It!
Seen It is part of the show where we take your suggestions for movies that we should watch on the show, but we inform you now that we've seen them. And we talk about them a little bit.
Tim Stamius writes, 1932 Shanghai Express. Seen It.
Seen It.
This is a gorgeous movie.
It's a train movie, and I love train movies. Train movies are bottle movies where you got a bunch of different bottles.
What I can't figure out about train movies is they shouldn't work as movies, because movies are the most horizontal medium, and a train is the most vertical form of transportation.
Wait a minute. Trains are vertical?
No, movies are horizontal. If you're in a train, this is what the world looks like. You're walking down the hallways.
Oh, I see. It's not wide.
You're in a shared room.
It's a narrow world.
It's a narrow world on the wide screen.
Yes.
I don't understand why trains always work in movies.
Because they always start out, there's people rushing through the train station. That's the beginning of the movie all the time. And they're doing little things. And then you see the guy, he's looking at his watch, and he's got the whistle. And he's like, ooh, they got to get on board. All aboard, and they get on board, and the thing starts going. And then one guy eventually, he jumps on as it's going off. And it's just exciting.
But that's every single time. Why does it work out? Okay, we're not talking about Shanghai Express yet. Okay, the black and white cinematography in this is killer. Marlene Dietrich stars in it, and I watched this movie thinking, that woman can't act. But whenever von Stroheim has just her and his camera, this woman is why movies were invented. We have Anna May Wong in it. This is the most famous movie of hers. She's on a quarter now, if you look closely. The movie is heavily about women and where they're expected to be in life, and these two women who are clearly not where they're supposed to be.
And who are clearly prostitutes, but the movie doesn't know how to say that.
Yeah.
Tiki Freakazoid writes, ever seen Fuller's The Naked Kiss? It'd be some great melodramatic fun for you guys. Seen it?
Seen it. Barely remember it. I remember the opening scene, which is one of the best opening scenes ever.
Pretty fantastic. If you like bald women beating men mercilessly.
Don't tell them. Just tell them
it's the opening scene.
They're
going to see it right away.
I know, but once it happens, you're like, what? But the problem is the movie never lives up to that moment ever again. It just becomes like, I'm just trying to go clean in a small town, and my past is catching up with me. Maybe if I went back to watch it again without wanting it to be that moment 1,000 times over.
It's not quite Russ Meyer. And in the middle of this rather lurid movie about abortion and about, it's about all these topics, you have these children come in and they sing this song about a bluebird. And you think, what is happening here? What is he doing? And it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
It's very moving.
Spencer Kelty says, talk to me. It is wonderful. Best horror movie since Hereditary. Amazing acting and some of the best sound design ever. Seen it.
Seen it.
We saw this together at the movies.
We tried to see Oppenheimer and it was sold out, so we watched Talk to Me. I liked this movie a lot because I thought it was just going to be jump scare after jump scare, and it wasn't.
No.
And it was not so much a horror of gore, but a horror of ideas and just really creeping dread. And I can... I don't know if you could hear that, folks.
It sounded like creeping dread.
The ideas of the horror have to do with kids doing drugs and doing inappropriate things on social media. Rebels at Cloud 9, The Aviator? I'm not a big fan of this film. I think Leonardo DiCaprio sometimes just can't commit to the character. But the big crash was really intense, and I never knew Alan Alda could be such a bad guy. Wow! Seen it.
Seen it. Did we see this together in the theater?
I don't remember who I saw it with.
Went out to eat afterwards, and I felt crazy. We were crammed in a booth. The music at the restaurant was loud. Oh, the movie has made me into Howard Hughes for a little while. I just did not want to be around anyone after that.
It's like after you watch a really great kung fu movie and you leave it thinking you can do kung fu.
Yeah. I do love the plane crash into the house and various moments.
I thought DiCaprio committed to the character pretty well. Mm-hmm. I thought Alan Alda, I believe he got an Oscar nomination for this. Very well deserved. Well, Damen und Herren, you can go to a place that is as fun as a cabaret, and that's our website, welcometothebasementshow.com. The entire back catalog of the entire series is there, and there are also PayPal donation buttons that you can click on to make a one-time or rolling monthly donation to support this show. I want to take this opportunity to give a very sincere thank you to all the people who contribute one-time and or rolling monthly donations. Your support means the world, and it's just a swell thing to do.
Yes, thank you. Even though I'm moved on, this show deserves it.
Craig came back and joined us. That was a lot of fun. He's not going away yet because you can see the both of us, some more Craig and Matt chat on unboxing this coming Friday. And we've got some big boxes to unbox. We hope to see you then. And right now, you can take a look at this.
Let's be careful.
What am I doing? I never jumped on a running board before.
If I look back then, I would always be jumping on running boards. That's all I've ever wanted to do.
My dad had a truck with running boards. We would ride on them every once in a while.